Wombat Jones for Ramen Chokehold, joined here at the Mansfield Tavern, nice and early. We're here with Matt Walton, the XFC promoter. How you going, buddy?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Nice.
And obviously I've flown up here nice and early. I've been here with you all fight week to see what goes on. Thanks, brother. And obviously your phone's been blowing up. All I hear is that's what she said. And if anyone knows this bloke's phone, that's his message thing. But
it comes up at the perfect time. So that's what she says, a classic joke. So surprisingly how often it comes up in the perfect time.
It does, mate. So like I said, I've been here all week and I've been seeing what you and the boys have been doing behind the scenes, like setting up the room and the cage. And it's been relatively smooth from what I could see, but I'm sure, you know, there's been past fight weeks where there's been a few hairy moments. Have you got any stories for us?
Yeah, definitely some horror stories in the past. So I guess you kind of learn that, you know, the more professional fighters you choose, you know, the less chance of those horror stories happening. But we have had a couple in the past where I think probably the worst was fight day. I had someone at 2 p.m. send me a text message to say that he's not coming to fight. So that definitely hurts the opponent, more importantly, that they miss out on a fight. But we've had some other shocking stories. I got pranked at the last show. Obviously, XFC 34 was our first ever female main event, and Joel Sepasvari from Combat Lab, but also Coastal Combat. He should have known better. He runs his own show, let alone pranking me online. But I got a text message from him the night before, and it was a positive pregnancy test for Brooke Kenrick. So we always try and run a really transparent, honest show here. And when that text message came through, I was racking my brain with what we could do. And then very quickly afterwards, they told me that it was a prank and the fight was going ahead and the main event wouldn't be cancelled. So that was probably the first time that my heart skipped a beat with the show. But outside of that, really happy with the show. The goal on this one was to basically be a week ahead in terms of our preparation. So what is it? It's Thursday, the cage is set, the venue's set, the back rooms are set, we're set.
Awesome. So why don't we just get straight into the fight card, and we'll talk about some fights on the card, and we've got it right in front of us, so if the eyes go down it's because I'm looking. But first of all, what I really want to talk about, you've got Adam Washburn coming up, and Adam's taking on Alex Hong, who we've seen before in the XFC cage. It's Adam's first time up in the cage, but Adam's obviously down from KMA in Liverpool, trains down there with Brian Ebersole and Martin Nguyen, you know, one championship, double world champion, going for his third on Friday night. Make sure you download the app. But back to this fight, mate. I mean, how did this fight come together? And I really wanted to, you know, talk about Adam because he does what I believe is probably, you know, some of the best charity work in MMA in the world, and that's with FACA and Fighters Against Child Abuse Australia. What do you know about him, and how did this come together for you?
Yeah, so we've got a really good relationship with Brian Ebersole and the KMA team. So it's always good when we can rely on one coach to say, look, I've got 3 or 4 really strong amateurs to come up. And they really surprised us at XFC 34 as well. You know, the Billy O'Meara, Joel Philly, who was one of my favourite fighters of the night. Even though these guys have only had 1 or 2 fights, when they're training with people like Brian Ebersole and Martin Situation, you know, those guys are going to be a high quality. So we know that Adam Washburn's been really big in the MMA community with his Fighters Against Child Abuse Australia program. So when we knew he wanted to come up and fight, it was one of our major priorities to get him up. He's a brown belt in Jiu-Jitsu. Alex Hong, who he's fighting, seems to be submitting everybody. So we thought, you know, the funny thing about Alex Hong, he's a really gentle giant, but he's fought absolute monsters. You know, the Sam Lawsons, you know, some really big boys that he's fought, and he's beaten them. So we thought, well, he hasn't had a test with a really high pedigree jiu-jitsu guy before. So that one kind of moulded together, and hopefully that'll work out for us.
And obviously, Alex fought on XFC 31, I believe, and I was doing post-fight interviews for that show, and he was actually up at light heavyweight, and he put on a fight of the night performance. It was an absolute war with all. Come on, help me out. With Oren Palmley.
Could have gone either way, that fight.
100%. And he was very disappointed when I interviewed him. He said, I really want that one back. But he also told me that he was going to go down to middleweight, which he has done, and he's got a win on another promotion, and now he's coming back to the big time.
You know, he's fought for us a couple of times. He always likes to fight on Aftershock as well, so he bounces between the 2 shows. So he's definitely got a home at XFC. A win on the weekend will probably get him a title shot as well, and we've got a progression plan with him as well. So hopefully, win here, he might get a win on Coastal Combat. Hopefully, if they can find him an opponent, and then come November, you'll be fighting for a title if all goes well.
All right, well, we better get through the card because
Nice.
we've got a massive card on, and obviously the next one that I want to talk about is very close to my heart because young Mitchy McLaren, up from the Sunshine Coast, is coming down to make his debut versus Wade McConnell, and I think this is going to be absolute fire. I know both boys are really going to come in here and throw down. How did this one come together?
Another great partnership with Tribal. Tribal are probably the most, how would you put it, passionate, supportive, and they're just constantly going out there to try and better themselves in the community as well. So we've got a really good connection with them. We love what they're doing down there on the Sunshine Coast. We put the message out to Paul. When we knew that Mitch was going to be making his debut, we've got the relationship there with Reese winning the belt. We like seeing people come full circle. We like seeing them fight in the gym and then go on to coach. And then we like seeing champions of brothers and sisters then come in and fight for us as well. So when Mitch's name was thrown around, once again, we definitely wanted to get that fight. And then again, we reached out to Rodolfo, who's Jeremy Joiner's coach. We gave him a couple of options because once again, Rodolfo at Westside have a big stable of fighters. And then he gave us a couple of options over in Perth. And once again, one of the brothers happened to match up with Tom Nolan, so it's kind of it's this constant cycle, this constant chain of everything falling into place. So, but once again, really excited about that fight.
And if you know me, you know I love women's MMA. It's probably my favourite part of the sport. And you've got a couple of debutants. Why don't you talk about them? Yeah,
again, I keep saying how much these fighters mean to me, but literally 16 fights on the card, and every one of them has a sentimental part in the card within me. So, Tully, Cassidy, who's fighting. It's always tough to be impartial as a promoter as well, but I'll openly put my hand up and say I'm Tully's biggest fan. I've known Tully for almost 10 years now, back in our Infinity Martial Arts days. She now owns her own Infinity Academy, which is brilliant, as an 18-year-old with her father. But I remember when she was a white belt, when she started training her boxing and kickboxing, all that sort of stuff. So to have known a girl since she was almost 10 years old to now fighting at 18, again, to be able to put her in the card is really exciting. She's a showman. Wait till you see her fight. She pumps the crowd up. She moves around like she's a 15-fight veteran. She really plays the crowd up. So, and she'll have a good support crew here on the night as well. So, and again, her opponent Hannah Thomas. We've wanted the guys from Ronan Academy from Townsville on the show for a long, long time. Everything just keeps falling at the last hurdle. So again, glad to finally get Ronan on the card. And once again, Tully and Hannah will go at it.
Fantastic. And one of my favourite local fighters up here is Craig Callaghan, and he's on the card as well. He's taken on Dim Skillies, which is a fantastic professional welterweight matchup.
Yeah.
How'd you put this one together? And I think there could actually be, maybe even some title implications here. I know Craig's had a couple of losses, but he's right up there, I think, and so is Dimp. So how's that going to play out?
Yeah, I think Craig will be the first person to say that, on Craig's best day, he's one of the best welterweights in the country. If he has an off day, like anyone can be beaten. Craig basically falls into that line. He's probably the best fighter with a 50-50 record in Australia. So he's always an XFC favourite. He's always on the card whenever he's available. So we were looking for an opponent. Opponents kept pulling out, and then just sent a random message to Gim Skillies, asked him what he was doing. He said he was available. He actually said no at first, and then an hour or two later, I get this message saying he's in and he's all for it. So, and he's been incredible. We've never actually had Dimps on the card before, but he's pumping out the social media. He's really giving it a big hype,
nice.
And he's really pushing his bets on the Neds app as well. So he's really keen for a fight.
Fantastic. And Tommy Nolan, he's defending his amateur featherweight belt again against, like you said, one of the other McConnell brothers. So we know Tom a little bit, but what about the other McConnell brother? What can you tell us about Aaron?
We didn't know much about him. We've watched a couple of his fights. Normally, whenever someone's undefeated and had a handful of fights, they're in that title implications around the amateurs. And normally it's really tough because Tom's already run through everybody. He's already had 6 or 7 fights as an amateur. Again, through Rodolfo Marquez, they put us onto the boys over in Perth, and we got Aaron onto the card. Aaron's trained a little bit in Jackson Wink as well, and while he was over there, he also had a really impressive fight, which he finished as well. So when you're fighting for that kind of pedigree, and when you're training at Jackson Wink, they just don't throw anyone into the cage. So they obviously knew that he was ready for an amateur fight. He got the win, had another win as well, so lined up perfectly again for Tom. And once again, neither boys hesitated. As soon as we gave them both as an option, bang, straight up, and the fight was locked in.
Fantastic. And then we move up a weight class for another amateur defence, and we've got David Martinez taking on Lamai. Some people won't recognise David Martinez's name. Why don't you explain to everyone what's happening there?
Yeah, so congratulations to him. He got married, I think, after the last show.
Yeah.
And again, when the guy said he wanted to fight for us, when you're having your photos with your XFC belt on, you do whatever you can to get a guy that shows that sort of loyalty a fight. We probably went through 3 or 4 different opponents, 2 or 3 pulled out at the last minute, and we kept punching until we found that replacement. Yeah. Once again, so yeah, really stoked that he's now happily married, and his wife is helping him with his management as well. Putsy Lamai, though, was going to be a really, really tough fight. Again, another competitor that I've trained with myself for about 8 years. The guy's a really credible purple belt as well. And even when I was training full time as a purple belt and he was a purple belt and I had 20 kilos on him, I still couldn't submit him. So I'm really, really excited for this because David Martinez is running through everybody and submitting everybody.
Yeah.
I went and trained with Connor Birch before the last show, and Connor Birch again for a 70 kilo blue belt was still incredibly tough to submit. And even with a bung shoulder, David Martinez was able to submit him. So I'm really interested to see if David Martinez can get over Paddy Lamai. Paddy Lamai, you can't sleep on his standing. He's had about 10-15 Muay Thai fights, does really well with his Muay Thai. And again, I think when you chuck in that purple belt defense, this could be the upset, even though I'd still do believe that David Martinez is the #1 amateur in the country.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic fight, I think. And moving on, I think this next fight especially is going to be fantastic. This is actually my call for fight of the night. Yeah. I know you've got another fight, but I actually think this next fight's going to be fight of the night, and that is new super lightweight amateur belt. And we've got Shani Olsen coming up versus Michael Tapau. And Michael Tapau, every time I've ever seen him fight, he's just bull at a gate, mate. His throw strikes, his takedowns, it's just full on. And Shani Olsen's stand up is his next level. So how do you think this one's going to play out?
I just had a brainwave. We were watching the Contender Series yesterday, and I think it was the 3rd or 4th last fight where the boys were just going at it. We said, you know what, if I was Dana White, I'd probably walk into the cage right now, get them to stop and say, boys, you both got the contract. Yeah. This could happen in this title fight. We could step in at halfway through the 3rd round and say, you know what, boys, you both deserve a belt. We're going to both call you joint champions. Let's not worry about going to the judges, and let's just both celebrate an awesome fight. Again, the worst thing about being a promoter is when you form relationships with these fighters. I love both of these boys. Yeah. So I spent a lot of time with a lot of them. Tapau, once again, his ground game is incredible. He submitted one of Shawnee's opponents. But then we went and watched Shawnee win a Queensland state title in Muay Thai on the last weekend, and look, the best we've ever seen. Yeah. So it's tough. Unfortunately in MMA, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. But they're both incredible sportsmen, so I'm sure whatever happens, they're going to take the loss and the win on the chin. And the fight that I'm looking forward to the most, like I said, women's MMA, that's where I'm at. And we've got returning champion who won the belt on the last XFC, Kayla. She's taken on Kim Piper, coming all the way over from Perth, which is a massive effort. She's actually come in a few days earlier, maybe to acclimate and all that sort of thing. What do you think this fight? I mean, I think this fight, for me, is going to be a 5-round war. Yeah, definitely. I was incredibly impressed with how professional Kayla was leading up to the last fight, and then once she won, and then the defence and just the media obligation she's taken on. And again, jumping straight back into the cage again to solidify that belt. Kim Piper asked for this fight. So once the fight happened, she literally messaged me and said she wants the fight. So again, if you want to fight on XFC, send us a message. We'll make it happen. You definitely make our job as matchmakers a lot easier. But yeah, we picked up Kim on the weekend, on Wednesday, and she's a big girl. So it'll be interesting to see if the size will overcome Kayla's technique, Kayla's experience versus Kim's power. I don't know. I really have no idea what's going to happen. Yeah. I had no idea what was going to happen with Kayla's first fight for the belt. Yeah. And she came out and completely overtook that fight and dominated. So it'll be interesting to get in to see what her game plan is versus Kim. And once again, this is atomweight. This is women's atomweight division. So we're really breaking new ground here. XFC, I mean, defending the title, not only putting up the title, but straight away defending the title. I think that's amazing. Yeah, definitely. OK Media Productions just did a cracking documentary for us as well, which was about how we pioneered that fight. I love the work that they do at OK Media Productions, and yeah, really excited we got that out before this fight happened. Bevan O'Malley, Jackson Small for the vacant featherweight professional title. I'm going to hand it over to this bloke because this is the fight that he's picking for fight of the night. Yeah, I got a big smile on my face thinking about this one. Before we bought XFC, the one fighter we wanted, or the two fighters we wanted, was Bevan O'Malley and Isaac Hardman. You know, they were the main two fighters that we chased, and we still will never stop chasing those boys. Isaac went on to win the lightweight title and is now clearly the number one lightweight in the country. Bevan had a shot at the featherweight title. He fell short versus Marquez Rodolfo, who's had 20, 30 fights. So after the break, you know, everything that we're hearing is that Bevan's better than he's ever been before. We've got the vacant title at the moment, so these two boys are going to go at it. And that being said, there's something about Jackson Small. You just love the kid. You know what I mean? He's just a fighter. You know what I mean? And in terms of the business acumen, he's absolutely dominating this fight. He's sharing the posts. He's getting out there in social media. He even came around to my house last night to grab 3 random tickets. He turned up again this morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. I was still in my pajamas to grab another spare ticket. That's how much this guy is trying to pump this fight and sell these tickets and fill the crowd. So the guy is driving from Chermside just back to Brisbane just to get 1 spare ticket. So this is definitely my fight of the night. It's impossible. I'll give the show away if this turns out to be a boring fight.
I agree with that. I agree.
I'll give it up. So yeah. This I'm going to sound cliched here, but we could have sold the house out just on this fight alone. You know, if we just had a 1-fight show on a Friday night and said it's Bevan O'Malley fighting Jackson Small, we would have filled the Mansfield.
Fantastic fight. I'm really looking forward to that one. The main event of the evening. We've got the big boys. The big boys are coming in to bang. We've got Jeremy Joyner versus Justin Taffer. Jeremy, the defending champion, you know, he's here. He's going to be ready. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
I really like Jeremy Joyner as well. You know, so Justin Taffer is probably one half of my most memorable fights when he fought Dylan Tiliuaga.
Yep.
I've got no idea why that's one of my favourite fights, but it just was. You know, I think because we didn't know what to expect. We knew that Justin had some incredible Muay Thai fights before in kickboxing fights, and Dylan was his debut. Nothing out of anything. And when those boys clashed in the middle of the cage when we were at the Logan Metro, it was just an incredible night, incredible atmosphere when those boys fought. So I'll always want to repay Justin for that, and this is how we're doing it, by giving him that title fight. So yeah, he's only had 2 MMA fights, but you know, when you look at his pedigree in kickboxing and his stand-up fighting, he definitely deserves it. Training with some really big names, Tai Tuivasa, Mark Hunt, you know, even his brother, Junior, Taffer as well. The guy's ready for it.
Yep.
And Jeremy Joyner really impressed us when he beat Chris Loktev. You know, Chris Loktev is basically Australia's Fedor Emelianenko. You know, he's probably the best heavyweight that we've ever had. And, you know, it was a back and forth fight. You know, Chris Loktev can hold his head really high with that fight, but for Jeremy Joyner to come over the top and to end up finishing Chris Loktev and winning the belt, again, proves that you can't sleep on the guy. He's got enough experience there. He's gone through some adversities, and again, I've got no idea what's going to happen in that fight. Both boys are saying they're going to finish each other. So hopefully we don't need the judges.
There's a finish coming in that one, I believe. What I want you to do is have a quick look around and have a look. And there's no one here. Everything's laid out. The seats are all there. What's going to be the atmosphere like come Saturday night when this whole place is packed out? Because I believe we've only got general admission left. Is that right?
Completely sold out to the point where we've got a waiting list for seated tickets. You know, so I think even a couple of friends have asked if they could come, and I'm sorry guys, I've actually literally got nowhere for you to sit. It's a good problem to have. You know, not many promotions have that issue. So I'm going to try and enjoy the show. Honestly, you know, my business partner was having a crack before that come fight week and come fight day, I'm not the nicest person, and it's mainly because I want to put on the best possible experience. You know, so normally I'm running around with my head cut off, whereas this one, you know, we've got an incredible team in place. So I'm going to try and enjoy it, sit at a table every now and then, mingle with all the fighters, mingle with the crowd. But you know what, honestly, I'm looking at the card, and come fight one, it's going to be massive, you know. So, but it always, after about 3 or 4 fights, that's when I realise everyone's already taken a seat. You know, the music's playing, people are running in the cage. That's when I finally switch off and enjoy it.
Yep.
But, honestly, from fight one, I think it's going to be bumping.
And if people can't get down here to get those spare general admission tickets, there's a stream.
Yeah, there is.
What's the stream? Where can we find the stream so people at home can watch?
Yeah, so the stream is stream's available on our Facebook page. It's like a bit.ly link where it says official 34 pay-per-view, whatever it is. So please be careful though, because there are a bunch of people that will put up some fake streams as well. So if you are going to click on something, make sure it's only through the XFC Australia page. But yeah, we'll plaster it all up on Thursday night tonight. And
if you wanted to watch any interviews with all of the pro guys going for title fights, you can check them out on Ramen Chokehold. John from Kumite Radio's done them for us. Social media wise, where can we find XFC? Where can we find? I'm commentating. I'm fired up for this card, Matt. Let everyone know.
Mate, we really enjoy the stuff that you do on Comedy Radio and Ramen Charcoal as well. There's no one in the country that's putting as much time and effort into the fighters and getting them their social media, so we really appreciate that. For XFC, it's all XFC. That's where it is. It used to be XFC Australia, but it's just XFC on Facebook. What's the other one? Instagram. I think we're on Instagram, XFC Australia. I keep forgetting that. It's like the middle child. And then, you know, if you want to send me a private message, it's Matt Walton XFC. That's about it.
There we go. Matt Walton, thanks for joining, mate. Cool. XFC 36. It goes down this Saturday night at the home of fighting at the Mansfield Tavern here in Brisbane.
That's it. Thanks, guys.